I think my husband is losing his mind. I'm very in tune with my husband. I can tell when he's off immediately. This post was written in a time when I felt he is off. I was right in my thoughts. He is off and is now headed to a mental health facility for further evaluation. Hopefully, they are able to give us more answers. My child is safe with her grandparents. I arranged this as soon as I noticed he felt off. I've received one comment about our decision to have a child. We sought medical advice before our decision to have a child. He was also in 2 5-day brain studies for his condition. I know we trust doctors and their opinions, but they can be wrong. I now understand, as they are just human too. Thanks for those of you who have offered support and understanding. It has truly helped me to feel less alone in a scary time. My husband and I have been together for 10 years, married for 4. I began our relationship knowing he has epilepsy. Over the years we've discovered his epilepsy is medication resistant and he'll likely have seizures for the rest of his life. I knew this and I was prepared to live our lives like this. Shortly after we wed, 2018, my husband had an unusual episode. At this time I thought it was an odd type of seizure. He was completely coherent, something he is definitely not when he has a seizure. He could answer questions like who's the president, when's my birthday, what's your name. None of these are questions he can answer while having a seizure or in the postictal state afterwards. He just kept laughing and asking if he was dreaming. It was weird, but I didn't think much of it. I honestly thought he had drank or smoked too much and moved on. Fast forward almost exactly 1 year later, 2019, he has a similar episode, this time not as tame. He can still answer the questions, but this time his emotions are all over the place. He's laughing one moment then crying hysterically the next. There is even a moment when he stares at me blankly, like he doesn't even know who I am. It gives me the chills. I don't feel safe, so I call his parents. They come over and he continues having mood swings with them there. Eventually he calms down and the next day he returns to normal. He describes feeling out of his body and it being a weird feeling of disconnection. We talk to his neurologist. They adjust his meds. The doctor thinks it may be postictal psychosis. It's not extremely rare in those with epilepsy. But a simple medication adjustment could help its intensity. Fast forward to the next year, 2020. We've moved. His seizures have basically stopped on a new medication. A huge improvement for us. We've moved cross-country. This particular day was great. We are planning our wedding anniversary. We feel so in love and happy. It was a really good day, so in hindsight I probably missed the extremes in his behavior. He's laughing harder than usual. He's being extremely affectionate. He's usually affectionate but not quite like this. We're walking to dinner when suddenly, he's looking around nervously. He's talking to himself under his breath. I ask him if he took something. Maybe he took drugs. He doesn't do drugs, but I am just trying to make sense of his behavior at that moment. He's shaking. He seems terrified. I turn us around to go home. Suddenly he running. On the sidewalk. Off the sidewalk. I'm terrified he's going to get hit by a car. I catch up to him and grab his arm to slow him. He turns around. His face doesn't register he knows me at all. He hits me across the face. I am stunned. He has never, ever, and would never, ever hit me. I run after him. We make it right outside of our apartment building. He is screaming now. He's completely gone. He's hitting street posts. He's hitting flower beds. I try to pull him again. He turns to hit me. People see and they come to my aid. He starts attacking them. He's screaming nonsensically. He's not even using real words. I call the emergency line. It takes 3 men to hold him down. They sedate him. He sleeps for 3 hours. When he comes to, he doesn't remember anything, only his hallucinations. Men coming to get him. Lampposts turned into giant arms trying to constrain him. I am devastated. His neurologist changes his medication again. Maybe it's a side effect? Fast forward to the next year and a half, we've been in therapy to get over what has happened. We never had any problems in our relationship, but now there is this. We love each other so much. We feel robbed of normalcy. We are not sure if it's the medication, but nothing has happened like that since. We've moved on. We are in a great space. We are having a baby. The seizures aren't as often. We have the baby. We are so in love with our baby, with one another. With life. Our daughter is 4 days old. My husband is acting odd. Just off. His smiles don't seem like his own. He's being very protective of me and our daughter. He doesn't want our dog to come near us. He wants to do things as a family. He wants to drink from my cup, he wants us to drink from the same cup at the same time. He keeps calling me perfect. He keeps saying we're perfect. He keeps saying things have to be perfect. He is not himself. At all. I call his parents. He doesn't want his dad near the baby. He's like this for nearly 48 hours. Thankfully, his family stays with me during this time. He's not violent or mean. I still feel unsafe. He's behaving really oddly. He finally comes to. He sobs uncontrollably. He says he saw demons in the corners of our home. He thought the dog was a demon? Fast forward to now. My husband is obsessing over aliens. Before I leave for work, he looks me dead in the eyes and says, "We must be vigilant, the government is planning an attack." He's been watching alien videos non-stop. I feel uneasy, but I'm not sure if I'm just anxious. I tell him, but he thinks I'm being judgmental and mean. That I'm calling him crazy. I don't know where to go from here or what to do. I think he needs a psychiatrist. What is happening with my husband? Is it cruel to end a relationship because of this? I married for sickness or health, but this just seems like too much. TLDR, husband is having mental episodes. Is it cruel to give up? Comment. You have to open up to friends, I think. This is too much to shoulder for one person. Your husband also needs immediate psychiatric care, ideally tomorrow. Oh, how awful. Your husband is displaying signs of a psychotic break. He desperately needs a full medical and psychiatric workup to determine if this is from a physical or mental condition, or both. I'm sorry, but I think he has psychosis or something. I'm young. So, I don't know much. But my sister is disabled, epilepsy and other stuff, and she used to have a big grandma's seizures. She's been on medication as well. And she's 33 with the mind of a child now. Those seizures completely messed her up, and in 2019, she had a cardiac arrest. She's been talking to herself for 15 years since I was born, and she had attitude spells and mood changes. And she's been diagnosed with schizophrenia and psychosis. This isn't much, but I hope this helps. He might need another doctor for some diagnosis. I hope you're doing okay, and stay safe. 3. By the way, it wouldn't be cruel to give up, especially if it's threatening your safety. Do whatever you feel is right. I know it's really hard, but please do try to prepare yourself to start talking to friends about what the two of you are going through. This is an immense burden for you to be shouldering all alone, particularly now that you now have your child's safety to consider, and you need some support to help stop it reaching a point where it crushes you under its weight. There is no question that it is incredibly difficult to talk about such personal things, and to feel like you're shattering the picture of the life and partnership you've presented to the world for so long. But if you can find a way to do it with someone you trust, just sharing the burden that tiny bit, and knowing that someone else out there knows your reality, can provide you with some relief. The medical side of this is far beyond Reddit's pay grade, but it does seem that far more evaluation and intervention is needed to figure out what's wrong and how to treat it. His family seems supportive. Could they provide any additional help or a safe place to stay while he seeks a diagnosis and treatment plan? I'm so sorry, Op. It must be so terrifying to not know when this is going to happen again, and devastating when it does. Wishing you, your little one and your husband all the best and hoping you can find a way through this with the right medical support. Next story 2. I want to break up with my BF because of jealousy. Good morning/afternoon/evening. I came to talk about my relationship. Close people have already advised me, but I think putting it here will be a different vision. I don't know. I'll tell you the story from the beginning so you can understand, but I only gonna talk about the problems. For me they are what need to be analyzed. And already apologizing cause my English, I got help from the translator and my low level in English, so ignore my errors please. Well, I have been dating for 1 year with a boy that we are going to call Lano. Our relationship started very fast. We were in the last year of school. In less than 1 month he had already come here at my home to ask my parents to date me. Everything has worked out since then. We learned together what it was to love and the process was very enjoyable. With 2 months things got tight. He broke up with me. I had never lived a relationship and my parents were learning to trust their daughter to a new person. I didn't go to his house much as he wanted to, and he called me a few times in a pejorative way. I don't think it's cool to quote. He says today that it was in this end that he saw that he loved me. He cried a lot because I didn't come back to him. I came back after a week of many promises. Over time, thereabout in the 4th month, jealousy began. I was always very calm and didn't want an extremely jealous/possessive partner. He was thinking about everything, playing with the people in the room. He thought I was flirting with one of the boys on the wheel. He was arguing with my 15-year-old cousin claiming that he had sexual desires for me. He was talking about the good night I gave to the cafeteria attendant. They were always crises. He freaked out with anger, with jealousy, but after 30 minutes it passed, but those minutes seemed eternal. The last year at school got ended and he missed a year at school unfortunately. I passed and entered college, biology. I already knew it would be a big challenge, but I didn't imagine so much. He smelled me looking for other people's perfume. I couldn't go 5 minutes without answering his text messages that for him, I was cheating. At the beginning of classes, I had joined a small group where I got closer to one, let's call him Pipo, and Pipo is gay, assumed. Taking my cell phone, my partner thought it was absurd for me to be such a close friend of Pipo. He made me call him to ask if he was really gay. He wanted to hear from him, Pipo, because he didn't believe in me. And then it only gets worse. I couldn't be online that my partner was already saying you're probably talking with this gay friend, and I've always found it very disrespectful, cause he always says that in a pejorative way. Lano, my partner, called me several times at dawn giving bouts of jealousy alone, without anything having happened. He kept questioning me as follows: who did you betray me with? Tell me now that it will be better. I never betrays him, this is out of the question, but for him, something had happened. In a week in May we fought so much that we broke up again. He was having increasingly random jealousy crises. He claimed he had seen it on TikTok, such a thing, and it had gotten into his head. I felt very disrespected. He was completely different from the person I had met. We broke up, but he was going to my college to pick me up. He kept saying that he was going to learn to trust me, that he wanted me back. And I came back again. He was calmer. He no longer complained about my friendship with Pipo. There were no more crises. The vacation have arrived and things have normalized, so far, the return of school. One afternoon I was talking to Pipo about the subjects we were going to pick up. We wanted to arrange the schedule. My partner thought this was absurd, asking what love this was, saying that he didn't like Pipo and that I was supposed to stop talking to this little f***. I sent a message cutting ties with Pipo, and one morning my partner calls me, asking what that was and forwarding me a story in the highlight of Peepo where I appear at the end covering my face, this followed by the following phrase: "I don't like this bitch behavior, no, I'm going to think a lot about it." There was nothing much in the story. Well, I told the bulk of the story because every case that happened had to be a publication. Despite everything, he has always been affectionate with me, super polite and hardworking. My family likes him a lot. He always declared himself, pleases me with what I want to eat or do. He took me over for everyone, which I thought was not going to happen so soon. But I don't know if I can see the future in a relationship like this. I gave him the third chance. I really love him and I believe he can change, but it is complicated to remember the things that happened and imagine very positive things, in view of the close cases that have always been told to me, like my mother's, who married a jerk but thank God she got rid of him and today he is with my father. I've thought a lot about breaking up, but I love him as I said, and I've never finished with anyone, at least not on my initiative.